And go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of DojoLIVE, connecting tech experts like you. My name is Dulce, and we are broadcasting from different parts of the world. I'm in Hermosillo. Tully is with us from Los Angeles, and Carlos is here from Mexico City. And this time we have a very special guest. This is Puneet Mehta. He's the founder and CEO of MSG.ai. This is a VC-backed artificial intelligence company, and we're gonna talk about AI, and we're gonna tell the topic for this DojoLIVE in a couple of minutes. But first of all, we would like Puneet for him to introduce himself, talk about what he does and his company. So welcome, Puneet. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited for you to be here. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure. I'm Puneet. I'm the founder CEO of MSG.ai. We are a venture-backed company in San Francisco. And MSG.ai creates artificial intelligence software that is a workforce multiplier for customer service. So the AI sits right alongside customer service agent teams and does a part of the work that normally customer service agents would have to do, collaborating with them, solving some of the repeatable issues, helping them have shorter turnaround time to customers and having happier customers.
Awesome. So, well, today's topic is cutting through the hype, the real opportunity for AI to transform customer support. Why did you choose this topic?
If you think about the state of customer service today, we have all experienced it as consumers. It's something that leaves a lot to be experienced. It's not really the most pleasant thing to pick up the phone and call a 1-800 number and stay on hold for a really long time, or call and be bounced from agent to agent to agent, with the next agent forgetting or not really remembering what was the main reason that you even called in the first place. So we've all experienced customer service where we felt, oh, can this not be better? We are already in 2018. We have self-driving cars, but we still have this level of customer service. So it's a problem that I've always wanted to solve, and having built quick trading engines on Wall Street and using AI for other purposes, it was something that was really close to my heart, something I really wanted to solve. Give consumers back their time, give agents back their time, and have AI be a workforce multiplier. So that's why I picked this topic, which is how do we look at AI in a way that is not just a new shiny object, but a real application of business technology that can give us happier customers, but also significant business benefits.
Great, thank you.
Great. So Puneet, sorry. There's a lot of talk about AI today, and like a shiny object, like you said, and machine learning. But it sounds to me like yours is more around natural language processing. Can you walk us through what's unique about how are you using AI, specifically around customer service? Because you have a lot of unstructured data, right? So can you walk us through how that works?
Yeah, with AI solving this problem, we are not just looking at it as one component as natural language processing. We are thinking about kind of finding the best way to help customers. So in some cases, it might be natural language. In some cases, it might be proactive and predictive resolution. In other cases, the AI also has to be able to see different images and visuals in order to make or get to a resolution. So it's all these different things that exist within the AI domain that are stitched together in order to create that customer experience. Obviously, natural language is a big part of it, because customer service as we know it today is normally based on a customer contacting an enterprise or a business and requesting help. So that requires explicit expression of intent. That's where natural language comes in. But customer service 10 years from now might not be the same. 10 years from now, customer service might be that AI predicts issues that might happen in the future and make sure they don't even happen, right? So that's why the way we are looking at this customer service problem is a little different than just trying to create, an NLP processor that answers questions. We're looking at it more at a foundational level to say, what would it take for a business to be more proactive to take care of their customers? What would it take for them to predict certain things might happen in the future if the customers would be impacted, and solve those even before their customers ask?
Okay, so the end goal is to improve the customer experience, I assume.
Yeah.
Who are the targeted clients when you build this that you were thinking about? I know you came from banking. Can you walk us through? Is this very vertical specific or agnostic? Can you give us a little background on sort of here's where we think we can solve the problem?
Yeah, we have customers or successful customers in a few different verticals. So retail e-commerce is a key one. Within travel, we have airlines, we have cruise companies, and then we have tech, telco, utilities. So, we have large telecom companies working with us, large utility companies working with us. We have also done some work in banking and insurance, but those are obviously more regulated industries. So a lot of our customers come from retail e-commerce, travel, tech, telco, utilities, and then obviously insurance and banking. So those are the verticals that we are addressing.
And so when does the software interact with the end user? Let's assume I'm a bank and I've integrated this into my call center. Walk us through the buying part.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say you're an e-commerce company or a travel company or a bank. When a customer messages you either on your website or on your app or on a social channel or sends you an email, those are the channels we address today. So we're focused on everything but the telephone right now, including some of these smart home devices like Google Home and Alexa. We are able to also make the AI brain work behind the scenes with them. But most of our customers are using our technology on email, chat, or social.
Okay, so I use that channel. I got an issue, and it's able to look up information and perhaps sometimes, like you said, make a prediction about why you might be calling. But how does it offer? I mean, at what point? I guess let me backtrack. Is the end goal to limit the amount of human-to-human interaction, or at least reduce that as best as possible, and also improve the experience? And how's that working?
Yeah, the end goal is to improve the experience. We asked consumers what were they looking for, and they said they want immediate, accurate, respectful resolutions. Look at companies, the only limiting factor they have is the human bandwidth to provide immediate, accurate, respectful resolutions. And with AI, that's what we're trying to solve. So part of the issues that a company gets contacted about are highly repeatable. They might also be low to medium business risk, and they're low to medium exception management, which means every time the resolution is the same kind of resolution. These are problems that you could have hired really smart 15-year-old interns to answer, right? You might not have even needed an army of people to do. So those are the kind of things that AI is helping with, which are low to medium business risk, very high repeatability, and low to medium exception management. And then the remaining can go to human agents so that they can spend their time on really solving complex tasks that require human involvement, rather than trying to solve repeatable things that don't even require human involvement.
That sounds fantastic. So what are some of the things you're measuring in terms of key performance indicators that are helping clients kind of gain the ROI? Are there any specific things that you're tracking and measuring and ongoing that says, hey, here's what we're doing? What are those things?
Yeah, it's interesting. When we look at how do you measure success for an AI, if it is truly a workforce multiplier, if it truly sits and collaborates with your team and does a part of the work, then you should measure success like you would measure success of a person, right? So that's what we do. Our AI is capable enough where we have the confidence. We go and ask each one of our customers to measure it really critically the way they would measure a human team. So it is measured based on the amount of work it has done, which is how many issues did it resolve. It is measured based on the customer sentiment. Did the AI make customers happy, or did it make them actually more frustrated? In our cases, all customers have reported an increase in positive customer sentiment. And then sometimes we look at other metrics, like what did it do to customer experience overall? Like, did it reduce the average response time from 8 hours to 1 hour? Because what happens is, if AI starts to do a part of the work, human agents can get back to everybody else also quicker, right? So there are companies that you might contact and send an email to, and you don't get a response back for an entire day. Now you start getting responses back for everything in less than a couple of hours. AI would respond instantly, but also human agents would have a shorter queue. So those are some of the KPIs. It's the value created in the form of customer sentiment and customer loyalty, but also the fact that you did not have to hire a lot of additional people in order to get the same amount of work done. It goes a really long way.
Well, that's really fascinating. We at Nearsoft, we're a self-managed organization, so we do peer reviews every 6 months, 360-degree peer reviews. I'm just imagining a bunch of AI bots giving each other reviews every 6 months to see how they've performed. Okay, so that's important. I got a big question. It sounds to me like you're disrupting the BPO space. Is that what you consider you're disrupting? Or, I mean, all this, because that usually is stuff that was manually done, right? But tell me a little bit about sort of like what you're noticing from your client's perspective that's changing within their organization as a result of implementing your solution. What's it disrupting?
No, I think we're disrupting much more than the BPO component, right? It's, if you think about how customer service is run today, it's mostly a silo within a large company or any size company. Many times it's an afterthought. First you build a business, then you build customer service because your customers are complaining about something's not going right. Most companies today don't think that customer service is a channel where their customers are opening up to them, and they should have a conversation. That's how they should understand which products to build next. That's how they should understand where to double down and maximize. So most of the large companies keep spending marketing dollars to understand their customers and spamming them, in fact, whereas in case of customer service, the customers are willing to open up to them. So the way we look at this is, looking at it as an automation component is just low-hanging fruit. That's just the beginning. The real game here is, if you have a 24/7 open communication channel with your customers, what can you do with that? Can you get real-time product feedback? Can you really understand them? Can you increase loyalty? Can you stop churn? Can you acquire customers by word of mouth in a better way? Most importantly, as more and more devices get connected, there would also be an opportunity to have your customers have a conversation just with the device that they have bought, right? Like, one of our customers is one of the largest coffee machine companies in the world. And when those coffee machines are cloud connected, a customer would not be calling a call center saying, hey, I see a machine leak, will you help me? And then the agent on the other side is not seeing the machine. I'm seeing the machine, and we are on a 30-minute phone call. That is really, I'm annoyed because I have to be on the phone for 30 minutes. The customer service agent is like, hey, it's taking me so long. And the coffee machine company is like, my God, this cost us so much. Now, when the coffee machine is cloud connected, I can have a conversation right with the machine, right? That's where AI being kind of that fabric in between, that connecting medium, really helps.
Right. I mean, but I think it's unique what you're doing, right? Because for the most part, there's two tracks, right? You've got workflow automation, which is between machines avoiding problems, right? There's no human interaction there except for when something needs to be done. And then you've got smart workforces, which is where everything is going. But you've kind of, sounds like you've married the two, right? So if the machine is ready, it can interact, and then there's a human component to this. I assume at some point, how do you educate it to learn? Do you have you built something that does that? Because so that, like, there's a one-off kind of thing. How do you actually update it so it continuously learns?
Yeah, no, that's baked right in. So we've built this on a technology called deep reinforcement learning. So the way we've created this architecture is we've combined three main AI techniques: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So supervised learning is mostly trained by instruction. Unsupervised learning is mostly training by examples. And reinforcement learning is when an AI is learning on the job, by experimenting different things, by getting user feedback, by getting agent feedback. So the ongoing learning part is really significant. Like anytime an AI goes live, just like a person, like a human is just performing on the job, it is getting significant feedback. It is actually even getting rewarded. So there are certain situations in which we might reward an AI's good behavior, and then it knows that it has to perform more of that behavior in order to meet its quality goals or in order to meet that KPI.
Interesting. Hey, Carlos, let's open this up. I have one more question after you open it up to the audience, please. You're on mute. Hey, we can't hear you, Carlos. You're on mute. But anyway, if anybody wants to submit a question, they can do so on Twitter on Dojo. Okay, you're on. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened. You know, it's technology sometimes unpredictable. Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, yes. We first of all, two things. If anyone here in the audience has a question for Puneet, you know how to use Twitter, right? So this is the way to do it. Go to Twitter. This is our Twitter handle. Go to DojoLIVE. Send your questions, and then we'll just read it back to Puneet right here on the spot. And we do have a question actually, and it's coming in here from one of our guys, from Misael Leon. And Misael is asking specifically about AI. He says, considering that AI is a relatively new thing in the tech space, how do you go about validating new features and functionalities in such a fast-paced market?
It's all about the customer focus. So the idea that you would only have AI do things that are a required part of the business process, and could you do it with the same level of quality that they were being manually done before? Those are kind of the two ways of unpacking this problem. So if there's something that is not required to be helpful to your customers, don't attempt that with AI. If there's something where you could have significant benefit and it's low to medium business risk, that would be a perfect candidate to attempt with AI. You could also look at AI as a method to make it more efficient for the human part of the team to do their job quicker, better. So if you think about it, what does a human customer service agent do? They do three things. They talk to the customer and collect more information about the problem. They go to different enterprise systems and they collect data from there, and then they resolve the issue based on whatever data they've collected from the customer and the enterprise systems. So step 1 and 2 are things that AI can do really well, and it can pre-package that context and hand it to the human agent. So again, as you're thinking about which problems do you solve with AI in a fast-moving technology component market, I would say things that are low to medium business risk that AI can solve completely, and then where can AI be the first line of defense and make your human agents more productive.
Thank you so much, Puneet. I'm sorry. Go back to you. Let's go back to you, Tulio, please.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be other questions come up. I'm just fascinated because most companies are using it for inbound purposes, right? They're reactively responding to a query and such. But you hinted that your platform could be used for with outbound purposes, like being able to actually develop a conversation with the end user to do all kinds of things, validate new products, new ideas, and things of that nature. How is that? How does it determine that? Do people have to opt in? How is that working?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be done as naturally as it could get done if customer service was a central component today, right? So if a customer is engaged and they're already talking to you about a coffee machine that's leaking, you could potentially solve their issue and then ask them a couple of questions about their daily coffee making experience, right? And that you're talking to a power user. You know that this is somebody that appreciates and uses your product, and that's why they're on the phone with you. So it's an automated filtering method where you are getting all of this live feedback from people who are already your customers and already loyal to you. So we're not thinking about this as a way to kind of reach out to new people and ask them questions using AI. We are thinking about more like if you're servicing customers anyways, could you attach certain components to it, or could you incentivize them to give you active feedback?
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I'm very curious about how long has the company been around again?
About 3.5 years.
Okay, so you're getting some traction. Any key partnership that would be really valuable that could leverage this and embed this into, let's say, some kind of OEM solution? Are you thinking about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we get a few requests on that front. So customer service agent desks, and call centers, BPOs, or as a matter of fact, conversational interfaces would exist in different types of technology, even for answering employee questions, right? Within HR systems, within IT service desks, all of those. So the partnerships we are exploring are essentially various companies that already are having conversations using humans on one end, and they want to automate a part of that. Those are the kind of partnerships that we are exploring right now.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Tulio, we have a question from one of our teammates. This question is coming from, actually, she's in the people development team, from Anabel Montiel. And she says, well, she's telling me here on Slack that even though that Puneet, the question has not to do with AI directly, it's more about, because of her role at the company at Nearsoft, she's wondering in the following. She's asking, can you tell us about your company culture a little? What are your guiding principles?
The guiding principles are the 2 or 3 main things that we look at. One is obviously building a culture of intellectual curiosity. That is really key to us because we're building this technology for the first time, taking it to the world. There are certain things that our tech is doing for really large customers, which things that have never been done, and these large customers are able to utilize it in a way that is very high ROI. So what that brings is that everybody in the company, from right from sales to customer success to the actual engineers and data scientists to the people doing support, like everybody has to have a certain amount of intellectual curiosity because they have to build things that have never been built before, and they have to get other people comfortable with using them as well. The second one is, I would say, around transparency. So whether it's around for people or for AI, there's a lot of AI out there that might work like a black box. In our case, we want to tell our customers, how did AI make a certain decision? What are the things that it has learned? What are the things that it can learn in the future? So whether it's with building a technology company or building an AI, we believe in that component as well. That the transparency component is key. And then lastly, I would say there's a certain amount of from a culture point of view, a certain amount of hustle required when it comes to early stage companies, because again, you're building a strong foundation, but at the same time, you are significantly changing behavior, right? You are going out there and asking large companies to try something they've never done before. So it does require a disproportionate amount of effort to kind of get that kind of technology out there. So as far as our company is concerned, those are the 3 main things that pretty much everybody in the company you would meet, they would tell you, and they're pretty much living those 3 values.
Sounds like you need a lot of grit. So I'm curious, is this your first startup venture?
This is my second company.
Yes, sir. So we have audience that's always curious about making that transition from a well-established company to going out and actually building something. And we have an interesting audience mix. A lot of people are CTOs or heads of engineering and so on and so forth, both in startups and existing companies. Those on the fence, thinking about going down the entrepreneur route, what words of wisdom would you have to share? What's your journey been like in these two companies you work with?
Yeah, I would say if you're passionate about solving a specific problem, you should just do it. It's well worth the experience that you would gain. There are things that you would learn only by doing this that probably is not available to experience anywhere else on the planet. In no school, in no job, in no other situation. But do it for the right reasons. Don't try to do it for making a disproportionate amount of money, or don't try to do it for fame. Like, none of that is guaranteed when you do a startup. If you're not passionate about the problem that you're solving and the value you want to create, then I would not recommend signing up for a journey like this. If you're really passionate about the problem you want to solve and what you want to do is leave a legacy, create value, those are the right reasons to do this. Making money and everything else is essentially a byproduct.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And as always, when we're starting to have a lot of fun, time comes up. So I'm going to pass it back to Dulce. I might have a question or two before we wrap it up. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch very shortly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Well,
Dulce.
yeah, before wrapping up, we are 3 minutes from ending this edition of DojoLIVE. But as a recruiter, I'm always interested in knowing how do you find the best talent for your company? What do you do, or what is your process to find the best talent for your company?
It's.
I just wanted to. That's a great question. Is like intellectual curiosity one of the sort of skill set? I mean, I'm curious to hear the answer. How you go about doing that?
Yeah, no, it is a required skill set. It's interesting how we test it in different roles and functions. Obviously, you might test it slightly differently for an engineer versus somebody who's in sales, but it is pretty much a requirement. And what we have noticed is, even in the history of the company, the people who have been really successful have had those three things, along with humility. Like, sometimes we do end up hiring people who are incredibly accomplished, right? And who have done this a few times and have been very successful at doing it and don't need to work for money, but they do come work for us because of, they're excited to bring AI to the world, and they're excited to do something significant. And, that's the fourth element I would add, is the humility part, that even though many of the people working for us have had fairly accomplished careers, but they are really humble. So how do we go about finding them? There's no one method. I wish there was. A lot of them actually end up coming from our networks or from the networks of the early employees. Many times we also go look in other domains if they might not have solved exactly the same problem, especially in engineering, but they might have solved similar problems, and we coach them on deep learning. Like this, when you think about AI talent in the world, there's a heavy shortage of deep learning or AI talent on the planet, right? There are less than, I would say, less than 1,000 people in deep learning who have made the largest contributions. So with that small talent pool, you're essentially, you have to bring in people and have to coach them so that they can start using the machinery in a different way. It's kind of the early days of the Industrial Revolution, when nobody knew how to use machines, but there were some machines, and you pretty much had to bring in smart people and coach them how to do it. On the deep learning side, that's kind of what we are doing, where we are hiring people from some of the best schools on the planet, and then we are coaching them on some of the AI methodologies.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I know that we're approaching our last minutes of today's conversation, but before we wrap up, I'd like to mention something. It's just a quick announcement, by the way. It's about the following interview we're going to be having on DojoLIVE, which is this week. That's going to be on Wednesday at the same time, 1 Pacific. And we're going to be having a conversation with Ravi Raj, the CEO and co-founder of a company called Passage.ai, which is also about artificial intelligence, of course. And the topic's going to be, doesn't get any cooler than this, because it's going to be titled AI-Powered Customer Experiences, how leading brands are using AI middleware across voice and text channels. So that should be interesting, folks. Remember, that's going to be this Wednesday on Dojo Live, right here, dojo.nearsoft.com. And back to you, Dulce, to wrap up. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, well, this was very interesting to know about AI and customer service. So thank you, Puneet, for your time, for taking the time for joining us today. It was really fun. Thank you, Tulio. Thank you, Carlos, for being here today. We'll see you on the next edition of Dojo Live, connecting tech experts like you. And so thank you, guys, and our audience for being here. So hope you have a great time with us, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.